Hi everyone, this is Sarah from SRSDesigns, and today I'm going to show you how to make this Loomigurumi Kawaii tube of toothpaste. He could also be a tube of paint, he or she, if you'd like to do that. It's a little bit band heavy. It takes 450 bands. And I will tell you as we're going along how you can remove some rows if you want to make it not as large. What you will need is white, which we're using on the top and the bottom, 82 bands. For this color on the top and the bottom, which I'm calling color number 1, you'll need 234 bands, and the middle color is 126 bands. You're also going to need a black band for the mouth and either some safety eyes. I'm using 6mm safety eyes that I got off of Amazon, or you'll need 3 black bands for each, and I'll show you how to use the black bands as we get to that part. Now, after I made this, I had left it out, and when I came back, my daughter had added this little bit of toothpaste at the end, which I thought was really cute, and I'm gonna leave it there, and I'll show you how to do the toothpaste. You'll need 8 bands for that, and these turquoise jelly work really good as toothpaste. So let's get started. We are using our hook only, and we are going to need a stitch marker. We are going to be starting this project like many of our Loomigurumi projects, and that is with a magic ring of 6 bands. So you're going to take your band, you're going to put it on your hook and wrap it around twice, so you have these 3 loops. You'll take your first band, you're going to pull it through all 3 of those loops, back on the hook, and make a slip knot. The hook goes back into the middle, and we're going to repeat this process. Pull it through and make a slip knot. Now these 2 bands aren't connected, so we need to make another slip knot between this band and this band to keep them connected. And that's how it's connected. So let's go back into the middle of those 3 bands and pull it through, make a slip knot, and then connect it. You can do it in 2 motions, or you can do it in 1 motion. I mostly do my Loomigurumi in 1 motion, like this, so pulling it through both at the same time. So this is number 5 and number 6. A lot of times I like to count out my bands and have them in little piles, so I'm sure that I've got 6, but if for some reason you don't want to do that, I'll show you how to count your stitches. When you end a row, number 1 is always on your hook here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this first one right here is where we're going to put our hook up and under for our next row. So our next row, we're also going to do 6 again. So we're going to take 1 band, we're going to pull it through and make a slip knot. This is our first stitch on our 2nd row. So now I'm going to put my stitch marker. And I'm going to move over to my 2nd. Now see, the first stitch was in this hole here. When I'm pulling it, I can see, can you see there? There's a hole. So that's not where we're going to go back in. We're going to go to the next one that's available, which is here. So this is 2, 3, 4, 5, and then our last stitch here is 6. And we know that we're done, and we're back at the beginning because the next place we can put our hook is underneath where that stitch marker is. And we're going to do row number 3, which is also another 6 bands. We're making the long pointy part of the cap. And you can get creative with this. You don't have to make it white. You could make it blue or whatever color for the cap. Sometimes the cap has a different color. So I'm moving my stitch marker. That's 1. Our next spot here is 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Next place that we can put our hook is right under that stitch marker again. We're going to do this one more time. This is row number 4. We're going to do 6 stitches. So this is our first, moving that stitch marker, 2, 3, 4, 5, and our last one here is 6. And now we're back at the beginning. Now that the cap is done, we want to flare out to make this flat part of the top of the tube. So we are now on row number 5. And what we're going to be doing is putting 2 stitches in each of these 6. So that's going to bring us from 6 to 12. But when we do those 2 stitches, we are just going to put them in the front loop only instead of both loops. So both loops looks like this. But when we do the front loop, we're just going to slip it under that first one. So we're going to put 2 in here. So we're going to start 1, and then I'm going to put the stitch marker on. And instead of moving over to the next one, we're going to continue and put it right back in the same exact spot we were before. So that's 2. Our next spot is going to have 3 and 4. Right there. So 3 and 4. Our next spot is going to have 5 and 6. Sometimes you kind of have to like dig them out to find them. But if you're confused on where you want to go, so see if I stretch it a little bit, you can see where that teardrop shape is. And then of the teardrop, if you grab both of them and then pull it back out and just grab the first one. So we're going to put 2 more in this spot. Moving it over here. So I'm grabbing the 2, but I don't want 2, so I'm separating it and just taking the first. When we're working in such a small area, we're only working in 6 stitches, so it can be a little bit squishy. So then here's our last one, and we know it's our last one because the next spot after that is where the stitch marker is. And we're going to put 2 in there. And that's going to make it flare out. And then we're back at the beginning here. It's going to flare like this. We need a couple more rows to actually show the shape. So in our next row, which is row number 6, we're going to increase it from 12 to 16. I'm sorry, 12 to 18. So to do that, we are going to do a single crochet in our first, moving the stitch marker. And then in our next, we're going to put 2. 1, back in the same exact spot, and put our second. And we're going through both loops, not just the front. So we're going to continue that pattern. So our next stitch is going to have 1. And then the stitch after that will have the 2. So single, double, single, double. So here's our single, and then our next will have the double. So I'm going to move my little piles of 3. Single and then 2 for the double. 1, 2, a single stitch, a double stitch, or 2 stitches, and then our last little set here is a single and then a double. And now we're done with the white on the top. Hook back under where the stitch marker is. Now we're going to move on to color number 1, which is this the top and the bottom portion. And actually you can use 3 different colors. You could do rainbows, whatever. So for this part, I'm going to be using the jelly blue. And this is row number 7. And we are going to be doing 18 stitches all the way around, but we also need to change the direction of where our stitches are going. So we're going to do another row of front loop only. And I will tell you that after we do this row, it gets much easier, and we're just doing straight rows of 18 until the bottom. So if you're having trouble, hang in there. This is the last one. So we're going to pull a stitch through just that front loop, moving our stitch marker. Although it's pretty easy to tell because we're changing colors. So here's our next on the front loop. It's 2, front loop, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Let me go back and count. When that slipped out, did I lose count? Let's see. 1 is on our hook. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. There's 18 stitches. I must have lost count. I apologize for that. It sometimes happens. So now we're back to the beginning, and that was actually a really good error to have, so then you can go back and check to make sure that you are where you want to be. So now we're going to do 5 more rows of this top part here, but like I said, if you want, you can remove about 2 rows of this section. So I'm going to pause the video. I'm going to do 5 more rows, and that will be row 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, I'm sorry, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. If you would like to make it smaller, just make 3 rows, and I'll meet you back when we're done. All right, welcome back. I have now completed 5 more rows, and I'm ready to switch to color number 2, and that's where the pink color is on my sample. And I'm going to be using this Electric Glow purple from my Michaels. It's one of the only sort of exciting colors that they have there, so I have a lot of it. I've been grabbing it while it's been on sale. So that's our first stitch, and I've moved the stitch marker, and we're just going to do a row all the way around. Another 18 stitches around. I said that once we got past that little cap area, it was going to be pretty easy. There was going to be one little tiny part at the end that may give us a challenge or two. But other than that, I think this is a pretty easy design. It's a good one for people who are trying. I've been trying to keep my designs on a little bit of an easier type patterns, because I know that there are lots of very complicated designs out there, and they take lots of bends, and they're very long videos. And whenever I'm designing things, I always like to keep my 9-year-old daughter in mind. Is this something that she might be able to do? Is this something she'd be interested in? That way I can, when you're an adult, it's easy to get complicated very quickly, and that's not what I want. And I also am happy that I can show some designs that are super cute and they don't have to be very complicated. So that was 18 and we're back to the beginning. Now I'm going to pause the video. We're going to do 6 more rows just like this. I'm going to pause it, otherwise the video is going to get very long of you just watching me do, you know, 6 rows of 18. You're going through both of the bands in each stitch. So 6 more rows and I'll meet you back. All right, welcome back, and I have finished adding in those 6 more rows. And I didn't say this before the little break we took, but you could just do 4 rows if you want to make it a little bit shorter to save you some bands. And now we're going to switch back to the bottom color, the first color that we used, and we are going to continue to do some more rows. So here we go. Moving the stitch marker for that first stitch, and then we're going to go around, round and round. I think that this is the last video that I'm going to be doing before school lets out. So my kiddos have 4 more days of school. And then I need to figure out when I'm going to be able to make videos, because I've mostly been doing them during the day when they've been at school. So I'm going to need to work out a new system and maybe get some more lights, because I have a feeling I'm going to need to do it at night when they're sleeping, because otherwise I'll have to film things and then voice over everything later, because I'll tell you, there's no way if my 7-year-old knows that I'm trying to film a video that he will be quiet. He will want to participate. And he's always been a bit on the loud side, so that might be kind of distracting if you're trying to follow a video. So we did that first. Here's this row number 1, and I've put my hook underneath where my stitch marker was to start my next row. And now we're going to do 6 more rows of this color, or 4 rows if you decide you want to make it a little bit shorter. So I'm going to pause the video. I'm going to do 6 more rows. So there's 7 rows of the blue in total. And then I'll meet you back, and then we're going to finish up. We will almost be done at this part. All right, I finished those 6 more rows, and now our tube is coming together. We're going to do the face. It's going to be our next step. I have my hook through that last stitch, and I like to put my stitch marker through these 3 bands. That way I can take my hook out, but I'm not going to lose anything because I'm using my stitch marker. It kind of makes it easier to stick your fingers up and stuff like that. So you can decide where you want your face. You know, it's a cylinder, so any place will work. I think that's where I'm gonna want it. So I'm using the safety eyes that I've got off Amazon. It's like an eye with the bumps on it, on the shaft of it, and the bumps just hold a little tiny black white plastic piece. If you do not have safety eyes or any eyes, you can use beads by stringing a bead on and then pulling it through and doing a slip knot, or you can use bands. Take 2 bands, put them on your hook, wrap them around a second time so you have this big lump of black. Pull it onto 1 band right in the middle, and then you're going to put your hook up through where you want your eye, put the loop of the band on, pull it through, go up through a second spot, grab the band again, pull it through, and then just make a slip knot on the inside. You can see that slip knot, and then the eye will stay put. But I'm using the safety eyes. I think there were like 50 of them for $4 or something like that off Amazon. So I have my eyes in the position I want them. I'm gonna kind of hold them, turn this inside out, put the little backs on, push them in tight. It's a little bit hard to see, but have these little plastic backs and you just snap them on. So there's my eyes, and I'm going to put a mouth on. So to do that, I'm just going to take a black band and give it a little snip, and I'm going to stretch out my crocheted area, and that will open up my the little spaces in between your stitches. And I'm going to stick in my band. And that is a very, very happy tube of toothpaste. I like that smile. So I'm just going to flip it back over and take the end, the two cut ends, and make a knot on it. Just like that. Oop. You know, I thought when I put the one eye in, the second eye, that I didn't snap it twice and I only heard one click. Whoops. Be a crazy face. And I think that's true because it popped out. There's that second click, and that will keep it in. And oh, I like that face. It's very cute. All right, so we have one more row to go, and that we're going to put the little like white edge on the bottom. So I'm going to take my hook and I'm going to put it back through all 3 bands that were on my stitch marker. I'm going to take my hook out and I'm going to do my first white stitch, or whatever your bottom color is. Some tubes of toothpaste are made out of metal, and they have like a metallic-y color. So I'm just going to continue to do one whole row all the way around in white. So this is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and last but not least, 18. And actually, so we're going to put our hook back in through the last stitch. I'm going to take my stitch marker off, and I'm going to take one more band, and I am going to make a slip knot through all of that so we can end it just like that. Now we're going to stuff it. So you can use pretty much anything to stuff it. You know, shred up an old t-shirt. Cotton balls would work if you aren't doing a lot of crafty stuff. I bought this bag of polyfill from a local craft store. Walmart might even have it, I'm not sure. And I've been using it for years because there's a lot of it in the bag. So you just stuff inside, and then decide how full you want it or how empty you want it. I'm actually going to adjust this little smile there so the knot was too close to the edge. And if you stuff it in and push in very hard and push all your stuffing up here, that way we can still manipulate the project. When you're done, you'll be able to squeeze it and pull it back down. So now we need to add on the bottom, seal it. So what we're going to do is, first I'm going to take my little tail from there, and I just stuff it inside. So you want to fold it in half, And we're going to take our hook and we're going to do a slip stitch row to seal the bottom. So I'm going to take my hook and I'm going to see how it's where I have it lined up. So there's 2 stitches here and then 2 stitches here, and I kind of line up throughout it. And it doesn't have to be perfect, but I'm going to take my hook under all of those stitches there, and I'm going to pull a band through back on my hook. And I'm going to make a slip knot. Then I'm going to go through the next 2 set of stitches. So there's 2, and then the next 2 is here. And I'm going to pull a knot, a band through that. I'm going to pull it through what was on my hook, back on, slip knot. I'm going to keep going down the line. So underneath here, take 1 band. We're going to pull it through what was on the hook already. So it's not like a regular stitch. Put it back on and then make a slip knot. Go back under. And this is where we're just sealing it closed so that none of the stuff falls out. And this little band wants to pop out, but I mean, you could hide it on the inside of your project. I'm just stuck it in there. Oops, only 1 band. Pull it through what's on your hook, back on, slip knot. Just keep going down the line, sealing this with a slip knot stitch instead of a whole crochet, because we're not adding a whole nother row of stitches. We just want to close this. So, and we want it flat because the bottom of a toothpaste tube or a paint tube is flat. So I'm going to pull it through, and here on my last one with that last slip knot, I'm just going to pull it tight, and then I'm going to hide it up inside. And there he is. Done. Almost. Let me show you quickly how we did the toothpaste. As my daughter added the toothpaste at the end, and I actually really think it's cute. So we're going to take 1 band, you're going to wrap it around your hook 2 times so you have 3 loops. You're going to take 2 bands and pull it through what's on your hook, put it back on. And I'm going to do it again. 2 bands, pulled through, back on my hook, and 1 more time with 2 bands, pull it through, back on my hook. So this is my toothpaste glob. I take 1 band, I'm going to pull it through. Now, what I'm going to do, and it should be okay, it's not secured here, but it'll be all right to pull the hook out just like this, because it's on if you leave it in the middle. So I'm going to go up to that where the magic ring was in the top, and I'm going to stick my hook under the magic ring here on one side and across on the other side. So I'm right in the middle, and I'm going to take my toothpaste. I'm going to take 1 loop of the loops, and I'm going to pull it through here, put it back on my hook, do a slip knot. And then I'm going to take this extra piece, the piece that's hanging that we don't need, and I'm going to wrap it around 3 times. And that should cover it up, right? Just like that. So that is our Kawaii toothpaste. And I just make a quick little note. I've had a couple of people say, well, how come they're not the same? And this one I just made, so I kind of stretched the bands out. This one I made about 2 or 3 months ago, so the bands are relaxed, and that's why they might look slightly different in size, but I did use the same pattern. So this is my Kawaii toothpaste. I hope you liked the tutorial. If you did, it would be great if you gave my channel a like and subscribe to it, and if you give this video a thumbs up. And subscribing to my channel is the best way to find out about what the new videos I'm going to be coming out with. I've still got more stuff I need to do. I'd love to see your versions of the toothpaste. So if you make one, you can tag it and put it on Instagram, SRSDesigns, or you can find me on Facebook at SRSDesigns. Thanks for watching and keep looming.